Now we are going to start with the MCQs of the new topic, that is the thermal process. So we'll start with the first MCQ over here. A liquid is heated in a beaker and the density of the liquid changes as its temperature increases. This causes energy to be transferred throughout the liquid. How does the density change and what is the energy transfer process? So you can see this is the beaker. Inside it, it is a liquid and we are going to heat this liquid. And what is happening over here? There is a change in the density. You can see the density is going to change as the temperature increases. So we had learned all the three kinds of processes of the heat transfer. Those were conduction, convection and the radiation. So in that, see here the schematic figures for conduction and the convections are shown over here. You can see conduction generally takes place in the solid and the convection takes place generally in the liquid and the gases. So that we combinedly called as the fluid. So in conduction, what happens? The particles are fixed and the heat is transferred between the adjacent particles. Particles don't move from any point to another point, and they just vibrate at the point. Okay, they just transfer the energy to the adjacent particles. But in case of the fluid, that is in the gas or the liquid, what happens once the particles are heated? You can see at the bottom, suppose the particles are heated, they rise. Okay, they rise and they move from one point to another point, like they move from the bottom to the top. And at the top, you can see these are generally the hotter particles. At the bottom, those are relatively colder particles. So colder particles are close to each other. So here we can say the density is higher, and the upper part, the hotter particles, where the particles are quite away from each other. So where we can say the density is lower. So what happens in the convection? There is a change in the density in the fluid, that is in the air or the gas or the liquid. Okay, so here you can see once the particle are heated, they rise. So there is a change in the density, and this is a liquid. So which process it must be? This is a convection process. So in options you can see the B part and the D part is a convection. So only option number B and D can be correct. So in that also you can see the density decreases. In the option B, density decreases. In the option D, they have given the density increasing. So we know while in the convection process, what happens? The density basically decreases as we go from bottom to top. Here in the upward direction, what will happen? Density will decrease. Okay, in the and the because what happens, when they are heated, they rise, and the upper part we got the hot particles, and the bottom part we get the colder particles. So option number B can only be correct answer, where the density is decreasing and the convection process is taking place. This is not a process of conduction, because this is not a solid, and that's why option number A and C we can't think of. And in the D, it is written the density increases, which is also incorrect. So now we are moving towards the question number 2. A rod is made of glass and half of the copper. 4 points A, B, C, D are attached to the rod by wax. The rod is fitted in the center as shown. The pins fall off when the wax melted. Okay. And which pin falls off first? That we need to find out. We can see this is a rod. This half of the part of the rod is made of the glass, half of the part is made of the copper, and these are the 4 pins A, B, C, D. Those are attached to the rod with the help of the wax. And we are going to heat this middle part of the rod, and they are asking which pin falls when the wax melts. Okay. Sorry, which pin falls first? Which Okay, the peels fall when the wax melts basically. So this is the rod. So which kind of process must be happening over here? We had seen the conduction here and the convection. So it is a solid. So it must be the conduction process that is happening uh, in the rod. And once we heat the rod at the middle, what will happen? The heat will transfer to this rod in both the rods, glass and copper, through the process of the conduction. So now what is the difference between the glass and the copper in these two materials? We know that glass is thermally not a conductor. It is considered as the insulator, while the copper is the good conductor of the heat. Okay, so the process of heat transfer is quite rapid in the copper, while it is extremely slow or almost zero in the glass. Okay, so here you can see towards this direction the heat will transfer rapidly, and that's why the first pin over here is C, because it will transfer from this direction. It will reach first C and then it will reach the D. Okay, that's why the wax attached to the pin C will melt first and pin C will fall down, and that's why our answer is C. Okay, so in this case this is a solid. So through the copper the heat is transferred through the process of conduction. Now the third question, which process involves the convection? Here the processes are given. The option number A, bread toasting under the grill. In this process generally there is the process of the radiation. There is no conduction. Then many times the bread is not touching the grill. So in case of the conduction, there should be the physical touch between the two objects. Then only the conduction takes place. Convection takes place in terms of in case of the liquid or gas. So there is no liquid or gas in this option number A. So convection is not possible. Conduction is also not possible. So radiation process is there in case the bread toasting under the grill. Convection is also there, but the amount of convection is very less than the radiation process. So in this process, generally the radiation takes place where we don't need any kind of physical touch, and we don't need any kind of physical medium as well. The option would be the energy from the sun warming road surface. So here also see between the sun and any other road surface, okay, any surface on the earth, we don't have any medium. Okay, there is no medium, there is a vacuum between the sun and the earth. And we know that for the process of the radiation, there is no need of any physical medium, whether it is solid, liquid, or gas. So in this process also, the warming is done with the help of the radiation. Now the hot air rising to the top of the cool room. So this is process we can say it is nothing but the uh, convection, because this is air. So we need the air or liquid for convection. So this is the one. And we had just seen in the that we had just seen here when we heat the particles, they rise. So they are going to rise to the top of the cool room. So option number C is the one where the convection is taking place. Option number D is giving that thermal energy transferred to the copper bar. So this is nothing but the solid, and in the solid, which process is taking place? It is nothing but the conduction. So option number C is the correct answer. Now we will see the question number 4. Now question number 4. A diagram shows a vacuum flask used to keep liquid hot. And you can see that how does thermal energy pass through a vacuum? Through the vacuum. Now thermal energy is nothing but the heat. And through the vacuum, as we know, only the radiation process is possible, because for conduction and convection we need the medium. That medium can be solid, liquid, or gas. For conduction we need the solid. For convection we need the liquid or gas. But for radiation we don't need any medium, and heat is traveling with the help of the radiation. Those are the infrared radiations. So here in the vacuum they are asking, so only radiation process is possible. So option number C is only the correct